Hi, everybody. It's Grace. Welcome to Eating Peace this week. The calendar actually says that it's a high holiday time and we're about to end the year according to the human calendar where we write numbers and record things and document. It's winter time where I live, very cold. And this particular time of year, everyone's heard it over and over again. It seems to be higher level of stress, and there's all kinds of things with how to handle and manage anxiety of this holiday season and the end of year and being able to start afresh soon, but not quite yet. And I thought rather than add to the noise of all of that, simply noticing that seems to be the case. Sometimes people are traveling and getting together with family and friends and people that they feel close with, or feeling like they need to purchase gifts or do all those things to quote unquote get ready. There's a sense of timing for the year that is unusual and maybe doesn't happen at any other time. So important to notice. That's the additional piece, is company and connection and a sense of celebration, and sometimes expectations that go all the way back to childhood about how you hope it's going to be, and people that you might see very rarely, and you do want to honor and acknowledge, and you respect them, but maybe you don't spend all the time with them, in your life from day-to-day basis. Family, So yes, those things bring up sort of a heightened fire about your experience of being alive, your relationship to reality, what's in the present moment. There's memories, and there's also, it's more rare. And then in the middle of that, if you already have battles with food and eating, compulsive behavior, compulsions that seem to fire you up, wow, now we're kind of adding even more to the fire, and it seems to be stronger and more intense. Those compulsive experiences I would have any time of year. It didn't matter if it was a holiday or not. When I felt like I was in the throes of my binge-eating behavior, boy, if I was triggered and in a craving and then set off on my cycle of compulsive eating, and then feeling guilty and horrible and like a mess, and coming back down to a sort of rested place through the whole cycle, that could happen at any time, any day of the week, anywhere. It didn't matter. So I thought I would speak to that today. So whether it's some sort of special holiday season for you and you're traveling and doing things differently and seeing old friends or people that you sometimes have difficulty with or not, there's still this compulsive behavior. And sometimes at this time of year, there's food, lots of food, foods with feasts, special foods that are made only at this time of year, some of which you might eat and some of which you don't. We were talking just recently in the Eating Peace process. We have live inquiry calls, and we're sitting deeply in this inquiry, looking at that battle. Food is everywhere. Here I am, and I'm fighting with it. It's like I'm in a boxing ring, and there's food on one side and me on the other, and we all have boxing gloves on, and we're just, oh, bam, what is that? That craving, that intensity, that thing that I'm fighting and getting a push-pull feeling within. Of course, the food is just sitting there being itself. It doesn't really have active energy. We all know I'm the one creating this process. I'm the one with the thought and an incredibly creative mind, brilliant mind, really. So let's look at that a little bit. What we were inquiring into today are two aspects of that battling fight. One is I choose to resignation as my strategy. I'm just giving up. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'll eat whatever I want, and I guess, it totally doesn't matter. Of course, it does matter after you've eaten the thing. A few hours later, you're having a result, a problem, or whatever's going on with you, or the day after the binge, or hours after the binge, you feel awful. It does matter. Something matters deeply about it. So this moment of compulsion and craving, eating it, not eating it, getting pulled in all directions like you're being split apart sometimes. So that strategy doesn't work so much. It doesn't feel positive or Doesn't feel like it's supporting you. And then this other idea in the inquiry process that we were all talking about, which is that I wish food would just let go. Can it be the one that walks out of the ring? Like, why does it have to be me? I just want it to give up. Whatever the thing is that I'm battling, I want the other side to walk away, because then I can finally put my own boxing gloves down and I can walk away. Of course, since we're the ones in the battle in the first place and it's all in the mind, if there's an interest or desire or something around dropping, surrendering, putting the boxing gloves down, no longer having a fight about it, it has to be internal. It's amazing, that mind, isn't it? It is so creative and so fast, even busy and inventive, and has all kinds of images and things that float through, and ideas, How about eating that XYZ, whatever it is? Yeah, sure, I'm going to go ahead and go for it. You see the plate of it all. Or your mother's saying, I just made these. She's made them every year for your entire life. And even though you're an adult, she still made them. And so you have to eat it. I love being able to sit with any of those things that feel very, very compelling, this compulsion, this thing we're calling compulsion, and noticing obvious thoughts, really screaming thoughts that might be in the mind, like, you have to eat it, you can't say no. And then just bringing in the inquiry process. Is that actually true? Who's talking? Do I really need to? Find every time it's not the case. Is it true is an amazing question. Somebody shared this beautiful vision that I thought would be helpful for you all when it comes to this fighting scene. And that is just simply reimagining, reframing, it's called, a different scene, a different scenario. So instead of logging this or tagging it or labeling it as a battle, a fight, and I'm not dismissing that that's how it's felt, cravings and urgencies and just the wildness of being propelled towards some substance or food or whatever it is with such magnificent force, is what it feels like inside. Okay, we know what that feels like, we know what that is. But who would you be without the story that it's a battle, that it's a fight? We all know that nobody's got a gun to our head, but there's something that's so intense about it within. Notice it's just images, thoughts, anticipating what's going to happen in the future, and that it'll be better off if I eat something over it, eat something now. Or there I am in the middle of the moment, and there's all the food around and that plate that I talked about that mother has made. It's okay to say no. Maybe it's not going to be that big of a battle. Maybe it's not quite as I am absolutely sure it should be or always has been and isn't changing, Maybe it could be, as somebody mentioned today, like looking at a big chalkboard, and you might see the words that go across the chalkboard, I have to eat those cookies that my mother has made every year at this time of year. I have to have one. And you can just watch as if you erase a chalkboard of those letters that are written in chalk. I have to eat the cookies. It's very different than a battle. It's just sort of wiping that away, not having the focus and energy be so intense and so strong. What if I just sat down? I love one of my little tools. It's called lie down. Like, just lie down. Gotten from Dr. David Hawkins, who just offered this as, especially with food and eating, that energy around all that, the compulsion for it, is that he would ask himself if he felt like he was hungry or moving towards food. I'm going to lie down and ask myself, am I really hungry? Do I really want this? But I'll lie down first. So he just would lie down for like 5 minutes. It's like doing a very, very deep resting meditation. And you can do that internally in your mind. What if I did lie down, but it wasn't like a resigned place of hopelessness, The person who spoke about this feeling of resignation and hopelessness, who was on our group inquiry call today, was sharing that it feels very painful. It hurts. And sometimes eating happens. It doesn't matter. You know, so there isn't a no, I'm not going to eat that. It's like, who cares anyway? I'm not, so I may as well eat it. Much more volatile. So it's not really a peaceful place. That surrender, that's resignation, not just really open surrender, like, okay, this battlefield, I am stepping to the edge. I am maybe perhaps taking off my own boxing gloves around it. And I can see, because that mind is so creative and amazing, I don't have to see this as a battle. Oh, there's that thing that's like an urge, is saying, oh, you have to do this now, you must eat it. You know, it will be terrible unless you don't, unless you do. Either one. Is that actually true? I noticed that image of fighting in a battle with swords and boxing gloves and however it looks in your own mind, a huge raging army on either side, right? It's all in the mind. It's in imagination. So how wonderful to find another picture or scene or image, or erasing the one that you have and seeing it as going in a different way. What if there could be a sense of surrender, standing very, very rooted, like the most solid, beautiful, old, ancient tree, right in the middle of this whole thing with food everywhere, and knowing that saying no, not eating if you are not hungry, is beautiful and there's no loss. You can always eat the thing later. Hunger will come again. There's no permanence in this moment. There is just simply a no, not now. Not right now. Not in this present moment. Food is not required. It's not necessary. It's better to follow the body and be in the body. You can even take a huge deep breath and feel your feet where they're touching the ground. And notice how your hand feels about this craving moment with food and eating and people around or not. How do your hands approach that situation? They're just coming along for the ride. Here they are with you in the body, and they don't care. There's not a mind inside here. We always go like this, right? My head is the one thinking all these things. So you can just check, what would your hand have to say about this situation? If it goes over to people's houses, take your hands with you, connected to your body. Just have them sit in the room. I mean, they're just looking around, being themselves here, shaking other people's hands, giving hugs, sitting down. Nothing more is required. There's no loss. There's no emotionality. There's no mental wild thought process. There is no battle. So it's being able to tap into using that incredible ability to imagine that the mind has, being able to tap into other images besides the battle, besides the fight. If you think of a craving as coming along to share something with you, but you always can say no, then that can be quite a wonderful thing. Oh, hi, here you are. Like it's a little bee buzzing around. You know, I like the way that sort of image works for me, because bees can sting you and hurt, you know, if you make contact with them. But you want them to be in the environment doing whatever it is they do. They don't hurt you. So you can imagine, here's a craving. It's just part of the human experience, and part of your experience if you notice this about food and eating, which I sure have. So part of the human experience, I am a human being craving. I can say no, and I can sit with that raging craving going on, or watch it relax and rest. Just like a wave crashing, it does pass, even if it seems to return over and over. I can just rest and relax in my body and breathe deeply if I need to. Breathe deeply and just sit down or lie down if I find some emotional intensity of craving is too strong and I'm thinking I'm going to have to eat when I really, really don't actually want to. So, most important thing, relax, enjoy yourself. Let yourself slow down and take time. You don't have to say yes to anything immediately. You don't have to say no. You don't have to eat everything on your plate. You don't have to take any bites that you don't want to. Usually, no one's ever forcing you to in any social situation. So, just remembering that, remembering staying connected with this presence that's in you, that's just watching everything and isn't really upset ever about what's going on. There is a part of you that can tap into that, you know, and if it's hard to imagine what it is, just ask your hand how it feels about the situation today, you know, how it feels about the social or the holiday or the food. It's kind of neutral, you know, which is a wonderful thing. It's a very relaxed, rested experience. All right, let me know how it goes. Enjoy yourself.